Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our channel. Today we are going to be making some gradient green leaves, and I'm going to show you how to do it with these three colors. So the dark green, the grass green, and then the light green and clear. This was a project that was given to me by my grandson. He said that he wanted a green and red tree, and I didn't want to make a Christmas tree in the middle of June. So I had to come up with a creative way to do this for him, and I thought, well, we'll just do a gradient leaf. And if you've watched my videos before, you know that I love the gradients. I think they're so pretty. I'll link the beads inside the description box. And just make sure when you're doing your leaf pattern that you are using the longest wire. And I did 7 sets of leaves on these branches. No, I'm sorry. I did 5, not 7. And as I'm wrapping this, I'm making sure that there's space at the bottom. So I'm pulling the beads up just slightly so that I have some twist room. I'm leaning over my table, so it makes it kind of awkward, but I want you to be able to see where the beads are going. And that there's a definite pattern. And when you're doing patterns, it seems that it takes a lot longer to get your leaves on and get your branches done. And this is actually Marianne's pattern. And it's my most favorite to do. It just gives the tree so much life and depth. I actually made 40 of the branches, but I only ended up needing 24 of them for my tree. All 40. So now I'm going to show you how I make the flowers. So I got these on Amazon, and I'll link those too. They came in multicolors, so I separated them out by colors. I probably ordered 6 or 8 sets just so I could get enough to have, different piles of different colors to use on the trees. And so I start with a 4mm bicone. And these little flowers are big enough that you can get both sides of the 22 gauge wire through, which, yeah, that's really hard to find in the flowers. Most of them have really super tiny holes, and you can only get one set or one wire through it. And I do pull them really taut and try to get that wire as tight as I can. And now I'm going to put in some twist. And what I do is I just twist just past the flower. So I kind of bend the flower over and I'll just twist just past it. And now I'm going to be putting in some leaves. And on this I'll use 3 of the light green bicones. They're 4mm. And I'll do that 1 set on each side. And I use Mary Ann's thumb trick, just so that my thumb, there's a gap between the original twist and where the bead's set. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of rearranging. If you're patient, it'll work out perfect. And even if it doesn't, nobody will ever know. That's kind of the nice thing about doing a tree that's full. There's so much going on. Little errors aren't seen anywhere. So once again, you're going to grab the longest wire and 3 bicones. This thumb trick that she had taught is just amazing, because I was having the worst time twisting before I started putting in that little gap, and a lot of times my leaves would end up falling off and it would ruin what I was doing. It was so frustrating, but that thumb trick really works. Now I'm just putting in a few twists just to hold everything in place. And then I'm going to attach them to my leaf set, my branch. And what I'm trying to do here is kind of center it on there. So this is why I'm putting in a few more twists. Little bit of rearranging, and that's what it'll look like. I can imagine this being really gorgeous with the red gradients in it as well for a fall theme tree. It'd be super pretty. And I did do some with red centers, and also some dark green leaves just to kind of mix it up. And here what I'm doing is I'm trying to show you that if you keep your finger on top of the flower, it'll keep the wire from just twisting without actually getting a twist in the wire. Just sitting there spinning. Yeah, that thumb trick, it's magic. Really makes everything come together very nicely. Once again, your longest wire. couple more twists maybe. There we go. Twist it all together. And voila, another one done. Here we're going to use the red for the center. And again, all the smaller beads are the 4mm bicone. You can tell how hard I actually have to pull on these guys. Sometimes to get those wires to get tight against that bead. The longest wire. Making these flowers it was pretty easy and very satisfying. Just total instant gratification, and it's like, oh, they're so pretty. Yeah, I really like this. Okay, I think it's time to speed this up and get through all this flower making. And like I said, I did do 40 branches total. So I did 40 flowers and 40 of the leaf sets on the branches. But I only ended up needing 24 of them. And these are the wires that I ended up using. So it's all the BENECREAT. I used the 22 gauge. I used 20 gauge gold and 20 gauge of the aluminum, the silver color. So here we are starting to put the wires on. And I'm using the slip knot on this. And the slip knot is my favorite for the hoop. And it just puts everything on nice and secure, and you don't need to twist right away. You can kind of fiddle with your wires and rearrange them. And I'm a fiddler. And like, yeah, that doesn't look quite right. And then I'll change it, and yeah, I just have fun with it. So I put the hoop part through the bottom of the hoop, and the hoop part of the wire through the bottom of the hoop. And then I tighten everything up once I get it on. And I'm speeding this up for you so that you don't have to sit there and watch me put on all 24 wires. So there are 24 wires. The wires for the hoop, it's an 8-inch hoop, are 30 inches long. And I know that seems long, but with the thickness and as you're twisting, it really does take a lot of wire to do the thicker 20 gauge twists for your trunk and your branches. And I don't really mind cutting off an inch or two at the end. This is all about having fun for me. I only make this for like family and friends, and I don't sell them, so it's not, I don't feel like I'm wasting anything. I just feel like I'm doing stuff for people that I care about, and if an inch or two gets cut off and it's not usable for something else, it's kind of like, oh well. And yeah, it doesn't really go this fast, but I didn't figure you'd want to sit around and watch me just put the wires on my hoop, doing the same thing 24 times. And it is every other one. So it's the silver, gold. And again, 12 of each at 30 inches. I'll put all that in the description box. And I had another project that I had some big trimmings on. And so that's what I used. I used the 22 gauge wire for the flowers, and it was just all that scrap wire. So you can save it if you want and reuse it. Okay, so here I am getting everything ready to twist. And I don't know why I started where I did, but it's okay. And what I do is I twist about an inch up, not exactly an inch, maybe sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. I believe it's 15 half twists total to get there. But depending on your angle that you're twisting, it may be more, it may be less. So angle being the angle of your hands versus your anchor, which in this case is our slip knot. So I just try for an inch. And some days my inches are bigger than other days. Some days my inches are 1.25 inches. Some days they're like 3/4 of an inch. But I feel like this part is the most tiring on your hands and your wrist. And this is actually my first time using the mixed colors in the trunk and branches of the tree. I haven't done that before. I was kind of leery about getting the anodized aluminum, so that's what the gold is. Also, they have a copper. They have actually quite a few colors, but they're all in the 20 gauge, and I've been intimidated by the thicker wire, but it wasn't that bad. The 22 gauge is a lot easier to work with and twist, but this was not horrible. And here I'm just speeding this up for you so the video doesn't end up being 3 hours long. And all in all, I probably have about 7 hours into this tree, and that would be my 40 branches. It would be the 40 flowers, putting them all together, wiring the tree, and then putting everything together. Boy, I wish I could work this fast. I'm sitting here watching myself. It's like, dang, girl. Yeah, since moving to Mississippi, I don't do anything fast. It's way slower life down here. Slower pace of life, definitely. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is we are going to be separating this into 4s, and we're going to twist 4 of these together. And my main thing when I'm doing this is making sure that those initial twists kind of line up, and that all of the slip knots are nice and tight on the bottom. So there's not huge gaps between the wires. And since this is the first time with the 20 gauge in the anodized gold, yeah, I was a little bit intimidated here. Just really thinking through my process. Double checking my numbers, making sure that I have 8, 4 on each side. I'm going to squish them together. I'm going to try to hold them. I'm not coming up too far. I'm just twisting enough to get them to stay together. So once again, 4 on each side. trying to figure out how to hold this and get everything to come together without messing up those bottom roots. Getting my twist all even. I'm going to pull those wires together. I don't want this big twist to go down too far. And I like to twist about halfway up the hoop, just maybe a little bit more. And that will give me some bend room in my trunk, so I can just kind of misshape it a little bit. Now what I'm doing is I'm picking out the wires that kind of are already together as they're coming out of the trunk. And I need 4 gold and 4 silver. And then I will grab 4 more gold and 4 more silver. And once again, it will be 4 on each side, so you'll be wrapping 8 of them. So here it'll be 2 golds and 2 silvers together. And I like them to look as nice and neat as I can get them as they're coming off that trunk. Not that anybody's going to really be paying attention to that. It's just my preference. I'll just put in a few twists just to keep it together and kind of out of my way. And here I'm going to speed this up and so we don't have to spend all day doing this. Not that I mind. I really enjoy making trees. It's a lot of fun for me. Very relaxing. And rewarding because I get to feel like I'm doing something for someone that I love. So it's very therapeutic. And being so far away from family, boy, I need that. I sure do miss them. And for this grandson, I had actually made him a spider web. And he got a hold of me and says, Grandma, can you make me a tree? Oh my gosh, he's 7. He's the cutest little fisherman boy you ever did see. And it just melted my heart. And I was like, of course I can. What colors? Green and red. So my initial thought went right to Christmas. It was like, nope, get that out of your head. It's June. Okay, so for the twist, what I like to do is kind of see where the branches will land once I put them on. And so that's why I bring it down, and then we know that we're going to need to have a few more twists put in on each side. And again, when I do my trees, I like to use 2 wires together. And it really makes your tree a lot stiffer doing that. Now, I know that I'm using the 22 gauge here rather than the 20 gauge like I had been using. But it is going into a little boy's room, 7-year-olds. So to have it have more integrity isn't going to hurt anything. And I didn't video it, but if you can see the curve in the trunk, I just did that with my finger and my thumb. And I just kind of put gentle pressure on it. And I think the heat from my hands really helped. It's been another crazy week. Every time I thought I could get to this, I had one interruption or another. So here what I'm doing is I am separating so that I have a gold and a silver and a gold and a silver. I'm just going to go all the way around the tree and twist together so that I have 2 on each side. And those will be my final twist for each branch. And this one, I had purposely brought those twists out just a little bit more because I was using the gold and silver so that you could see a little more of the branches and you could see the trunk. I was just trying to think ahead a little bit. And I like to twist my tree completely out before I start putting the beads on it. And that kind of gives me an idea of what my design is, how I need to focus on my design. Okay, so I'm back at it. Obviously, I was interrupted. You know, I got up super early so I could do this. And typically on the weekends, my husband does not get up early. No. So I was surprised when he rolled out of bed at 7 a.m. And I'm like, gosh, what is going on with you? Are you okay? You got a fever? He said, well, I didn't want you to be working outside by yourself today. And it's like, it's going to be 94. Right now it's super humid. I'm not going to be working outside. You don't have to worry about that. But it was sweet. He wanted to make sure I'd be okay. yeah, I feel like forever I have been just admiring those trees that Marianne does with the gold and the silver, or the copper and the gold, and just mixing the colors. And for some reason, I just had not thought that I could work with the 20 gauge. So here we go. And yeah, it definitely isn't as easy as the 22 gauge, but it wasn't an issue. And it's pretty just like this. And that looks good. All right, see if the branches fit. Yeah, and that's way too close. So I'm gonna be putting in some more twist here. And that should work. Oh. So when you're doing this, one of the things that I have learned is that you can come pretty close to the hoop and still have room for a second branch. So like I was saying in the beginning, each one of the branches coming off the trunk has 2 of the leaf branches attached to it. And I do trim as I go. So these, the small wires that are coming off of the beaded leaf branch, that's what I'm going to be cutting. Well, it's 2 on each side, so it's 4 total. I'm just snipping off the ends of the branch that I just put on. This one had a little bit longer ends. I think that came on the branch. I think I just cut a few of them too long. Tucking in those loose wires. And these twists are going to go just over the hoop. So I will cut the small wires off again, and then I'm going to wrap the long wires. And what I do is I just go around twice. And I try to keep them as nice and neat and straight as I possibly can. And make sure my tree is going to be as straight as it can be. But that's one of the really, it's kind of a cool thing about bending your trunk, is that if your tree happens to be off center, bending that trunk, you can kind of straighten everything back up. And I'm sorry, I got a little off camera here. I'm still working on my setup. I'm almost thinking I need to anchor the tripod from the ceiling and having it come straight down, because man, it's like, oh, I think it looks good, and then, oh, it's off. Darn it. But I just, I wrapped it around twice, and then I just trimmed it. And I like to do one side and then the other side, and that kind of keeps the tree balanced. So as I do this, you'll notice that I go from one side to the other, and it just, it's easier for me to do it that way. All right, guys, speeding it up for you. If you happen to have any questions, please feel free to ask. And either Marianne or I will get back to you and help you the best that we can. And if you're in the middle of a tree and you're struggling, Marianne has a playlist. And in the playlist, she has all sorts of fixes for the different things that can go wrong. You can also email her. She is like the sweetest lady ever. She's so happy to help anybody that needs help. Just take a picture of where you're at and what you think is wrong. Tell her. And yeah, she's got all sorts of great advice. She's been doing it a long time. Not like me, I'm a newbie. I'm actually surprised about how good the tree is coming together, and just work on making sure that the leaves that I put on are a little bit different than what's below it. And it's probably my most favorite tree that I've done to date. And of course it's gradients, so I really like that. And with this 20 gauge wire, when you're going to push down those little ends, it's a lot easier to do with a pair of pliers than if you are just trying to push it down with your hands. Because it's stiffer, it'll actually poke you. Sorry guys, got a little off camera there again. And I am bending the branches up as I go, so it gives it a little bit of a 3D look. I guess it is a 3D look. I walked outside a little while ago, and I had left a pair of scissors on the front porch. I have this rose bush that's really struggling, so I've been trying to keep the buds off of it just so it concentrates on making leaves and growing good roots. I've had it for over a year now, and it is just the tiniest little thing. And I had left those on my front porch. Well, that's where we keep our dog during the day, unless it's too hot. Then she comes inside so she can be cooler. But that dog grabbed the scissors off the table and she chewed the ends off of them. Not the metal part, but the plastic handles. I was thinking, these are useless now, because where she chewed them is, where they would hold your fingers in. Oh my goodness. She is crazy. She's a rescue. She is the best dog. Just absolutely the best dog. We fell in love with her. We took her home to kind of foster her. But by the time, I think we'd had her overnight, we decided that she was ours. It's like, yeah, she's ours. So we adopted her, and she's just great. She's a mix of, a blue pit and I can't remember what the vet said that the other breed was, but she looks more like a blue pit. And yeah, everyone's really afraid of her just because of her looks, but let me tell you, she'd lick you to death. So she's just such a sweetie. One time the UPS guy showed up, and they have those great big vans, and he opened the door and she hopped right in there with them. Now they're buds. He shows up and her tail just waggles and so happy. We're very fortunate. She is potty trained. She's short hair. Just a lovely dog. But my husband, he was taking off for work for quite a while. He had left a job that he had been at for over 30 years. And anyway, so he'd take off, and he wanted me to have company. And so she's been my company, and she's just been the best company. Just totally great. So here you can see I made a mistake. I forgot to cut off the small wires from the last one. I'm pretty one-tracked. While I'm making these videos, since I got some new software, I've been listening to my audiobooks, and I just kind of get off in my own little world. So close to being done here. Isn't that turning out so pretty? Alright, I think this is one of my most favorite that I have made to date. Alright, I vote for this one. And I know my little grandboy is gonna love it. Sorry, I got off camera again. But it's just 2 wraps around the hoop. And then on this one, I'm going to have to turn it upside down without laying it on the leaf. So maybe put it on a cup and put something heavy over the roots to hold it up. And then I'm going to go back through and just glue all those wraps down. So I'll use a super glue, and then I will go back over with a hot glue. And I just use the hot glue so that any wires that I miss, it won't be scratching a window. I think I've mentioned before that I had a friend who owns a glass company, and it's something that he had mentioned to me. Always learning. Stuff I don't know and stuff I don't think about. But now I do. Well, I want to thank you guys for watching and hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. And if you want to give us a like and a follow and comment, anything, I'm open to critiques, and you have suggestions and ideas, they're very welcome.